So, welcome to the Book in Brief. Today, we're summarizing one of America's most iconic and heartbreaking novellas, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. First published in 1937 during the Great Depression, this story follows two displaced ranch workers chasing the American dream. With its unforgettable characters and powerful themes of friendship, loneliness, and shattered hope, this short novel delivers emotional weight that lasts long after the final page. Let's walk through the journey of George and Lenny. The story opens along the Salinas River in California. Two men, George Milton and Lenny Small, are walking to a new ranch job. George is small, sharp, and protective. Lenny is mentally disabled, but physically strong and deeply loyal. Their conversation as they walk sets the tone. Lenny imitates George's movements, clearly seeing him as a role model. Lenny clutches a dead mouse in his pocket, stroking it for comfort. When George finds out, he throws it away, worried that Lenny will get sick. Lenny protests like a child who lost a toy. This small moment captures their entire dynamic: Lenny's childlike innocence and George's constant, sometimes harsh protectiveness. They've fled their previous job in Weed, where Lenny scared a woman by touching her dress. Though harmless, his strength and lack of understanding make him dangerous in the eyes of others. George tells the story with frustration but also sorrow. A man worn down by the burden of loyalty and fear of what might happen next. As they rest, George reminds Lenny, repeatedly, to stay quiet at the ranch and avoid trouble. They share a dream: owning a piece of land, living off it, and being their own bosses. Lenny loves this dream most of all, especially the part where he'll tend the rabbits. George indulges him, reciting the dream like a bedtime story. Before they sleep, George makes Lenny promise: if anything goes wrong, he should hide by the river. Lenny memorizes the spot with childlike obedience. It's a moment full of foreboding. The next morning, George and Lenny arrive at the ranch. The bunkhouse is rough and bare. They meet the boss, who is suspicious of George's protectiveness over Lenny. George lies, saying they're cousins. They're introduced to the other workers: Candy, an old man with one hand, and a loyal, aging dog; Curly, the boss's aggressive son, always looking for a fight, especially with big men like Lenny; Curly's wife, unnamed, flirtatious and lonely, wandering around the ranch seeking attention; Slim, a skilled mule driver, respected by all; Carlson, a blunt ranch hand who complains about Candy's smelly dog. Tension builds fast. Curly sizes up Lenny instantly, seeing a target to assert dominance. George warns Lenny again: don't talk to Curly, don't even look at his wife. Lenny, already anxious, promises he won't. Slim's presence is calming. He represents quiet authority, a foil to Curly's insecurity. His acceptance of George and Lenny lays the foundation for trust later. Later that night, Slim gives Lenny one of his dog's puppies. Lenny, beaming, cradles it like a treasure. His love for soft things, often fatal to them, is both sweet and unsettling. George and Slim talk. George confides about the trouble in Weed, but also explains how he and Lenny grew up together. There's a poignant moment when George admits he once mocked Lenny, and Lenny nearly drowned because he followed George's order. Since then, George has protected him with deep guilt and loyalty. Candy, overhearing George and Lenny's talk of buying land, offers his life savings to join them. The idea feels suddenly real, not just a dream, but a plan. For the first time, these men glimpse an escape from their lives of rootlessness and hard labor. But the mood changes sharply when Curly storms in looking for his wife. He picks a fight with Lenny, who's terrified and doesn't want to hurt anyone. George yells at Lenny to fight back. In a flash, Lenny grabs Curly's hand and crushes it. The moment is brutal and chaotic. Lenny sobs, begging George not to be mad. Slim steps in, threatening Curly with humiliation if he talks. Curly agrees to lie, and the balance of power subtly shifts, but violence has broken the spell of hope. The next evening, most of the men go to town. Left behind are Crooks, Candy, Lenny, and eventually Curly's wife. Crooks, isolated by both race and injury, lives in a small room off the barn. Lenny stumbles in, and Crooks, bitter at first, tries to scare Lenny with hypothetical questions. What if George doesn't come back? Lenny panics, not understanding the game. Crooks is struck by how real Lenny's fear is. As they talk, Crooks slowly opens up. He speaks of his loneliness, of how a man can go mad without anyone to talk to. When Candy joins and the three discuss the dream farm, Crooks lights up. He even offers to work for free, just to be around people. But then Curly's wife enters. She mocks them all. Candy for his age, Crooks for his race, Lenny for his slowness. Crooks stands up to her, briefly, but she reduces him to silence with a single line. She could have him lynched with one word. Her power, though indirect, is devastating. Crooks's posture collapses. After she leaves, he tells Candy he was just foolin'. He never really believed in the dream. On Sunday afternoon, Lenny sits in the barn, distraught. He's accidentally killed his puppy by petting it too hard. He tries to hide it in the hay, then scolds it for dying. Curly's wife finds him there. She's not angry, just lonely. She shares her story, how she had dreams of becoming a movie star, how she hates the ranch life, how no one ever listens to her. Lenny, drawn by her soft hair, asks to pet it. She agrees, but when he grips too tightly, she screams. Panicked, Lenny tries to quiet her, shaking her until her neck snaps. Her body goes still. Lenny realizes he's done something terrible. He runs to the river, as George told him. Candy and George find the body. Candy weeps for the death of the dream. George, silent, knows the dream was never going to happen. It was just something to keep them going. Back at the riverbank, Lenny waits, hiding in the brush. He hallucinates his Aunt Clara scolding him, then a giant rabbit telling him George will leave him. George appears. Lenny, relieved, asks him to repeat the story of the farm. George does, voice shaking. As Lenny listens with joy, George slowly draws Carlson's stolen pistol. Then, in a moment both cruel and kind, George shoots Lenny in the back of the head. Lenny dies thinking of rabbits, believing in the dream. Slim arrives, understanding everything. He tells George, "You hadda, George. I swear you hadda." The others don't understand. Carlson wonders aloud why George is so upset. It's a quiet, devastating ending. Of Mice and Men is packed with themes and symbols that deepen its emotional impact. The American Dream. George and Lenny's hope for a better life represents the dreams of countless people in the Depression era. Yet the dream is fragile, easily shattered by society, violence, and fate. Friendship versus isolation. Most characters suffer from deep loneliness. Crooks, Candy, Curly's wife, George and Lenny's bond stands out as rare and precious, yet even that connection can't survive. Powerlessness. Characters are bound by disability, race, age, or gender. They lash out or retreat, but none can truly escape their situation. Mercy and morality. George's final act raises moral questions. Was it murder or mercy? Steinbeck offers no simple answer. Animals. Lenny's love for soft things, the killing of mice, the dog, and finally Curly's wife, all mirror the fragility of innocence. Lenny himself is both childlike and destructive, a symbol of how innocence can still be dangerous. The title, taken from Robert Burns's poem, "The Best Laid Schemes of Mice and Men, Gang Aft Agley," a reminder that even the most careful plans often go wrong. Of Mice and Men is a story of broken dreams, quiet resilience, and heartbreaking choices. With raw honesty, Steinbeck reveals how poverty and hardship can crush even the most hopeful spirits. George and Lenny's journey is brief, but their bond, their dream, and their tragedy reflect the struggles of an entire era. In the end, Steinbeck doesn't offer answers, only the quiet truth that in a harsh world, even love may not be enough. Thank you for watching the book in brief. Like, comment, and subscribe for more meaningful summaries that bring literature to life.